All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the video. And today we are going to be looking at this beautiful Apple Watch Series 8 in gold stainless steel. This is the 45 millimeter. I don't know if you can see that. And this is a gorgeous watch. So just starting off with a little overview, I believe that this is the best looking smartwatch ever. I think the silver stainless steel probably bests this one a little bit, but just because it's more versatile. But this is just a standout device, and there's nothing really that looks better than this watch. So I'll just give you some angles, and this is the gold Milanese loop. And I'll just say this, do not play yourself by getting, like, if you can get this with the actual Milanese loop from Apple, definitely do that. When you get the secondary watch bands, the color's off, they just don't have the premium feel. So we are going to be looking at this watch in light of a recent competitor that I've gotten in this watch, the Amazfit Active 2. So, that was really close. This is a dope watch. I've taken it and added a stainless steel band to it. Doesn't quite feel as premium as the Milanese. The Milanese band is a little bit, just a little bit more substantial. I should say it should be, because it costs like almost 9 times as much. Here are these watches side by side. I think they're very, very good looking devices. And so we're gonna take a look at both of them. One thing I'll say off the bat is that this is a great device. The reason why I bought this device, and check out my review on it, is because it has a multi-day battery. So this thing will last 5 days. It's not quite as bespoke or made for the iOS ecosystem like this watch is. So I could see why the battery life is a little bit better, but it's still kind of frustrating having to charge this every day. I have to say, there is no substitute for a genuine Apple Watch. Like, you just can't beat it. And I'll just say this, like, if you are not going to get an Apple Watch, go ahead and get something like this. You can use this with Android, you can use this with iOS, and it's just a good device. Unless you're like a hardcore fitness person, then I would say definitely go the Garmin direction, or maybe Fitbit. And this is gonna sound like hyperbole, but I don't even care. So one of these watches, the Amazfit 2, is like a high school girl. She's cool, she's flexible, you know, you can call her once every 3 days, you could take her out for pizza. This one is like your wife that you cannot live without, the person that is your person, that you were made for, that kind of thing. That is a night and day difference whenever you're dealing with the Apple ecosystem. And there's not much of a difference between the Series 9 and the Series 8. That's why I would recommend getting the Series 8. It does have the crash detection. Really, the only difference is that the screen brightness. So this one gets to 1,000 nits, which I don't have a problem with. The Series 9 gets to 2,000, but I feel like the jump in price, you know, is not worth it in my opinion. So compared to $100, I would say definitely I would not go with this watch. But if you're buying them used and you can find this at a good price, I would go ahead and go with this one. The reason why I really champion this watch is just because of the build quality, one, and just the tailor-made experience you have with iOS in this watch. So I can unlock my MacBook with this watch. I can go to the gym with just this watch. I don't have LTE service set up on it, but I can play music directly off this watch, save from my iTunes library, that sort of thing. The exercise workout menu is more straightforward. This is a much more user-friendly device. So like when you're exercising and you start a workout, it just makes sense. It just starts recording. You don't have to enter a bunch of reps, distance, this and that. It just goes. This watch has 32 gigabytes of storage, and the build quality is super, super premium. I don't have to have a case for this one. And I absolutely love that. Like, that is one of the biggest things that I love about the stainless steel watch. Yes, you can scratch them up, but it's one of the only devices that you can safely carry without a case. All right, so let's just go to design of the Series 8 45 millimeter stainless steel. It is a 10 out of 10. And let's start with something that is underrated, this watch face. This is the perfect watch face for the design and color of this watch. I didn't even change it. So out of the box, when you get an Apple Watch like this, everything just works harmoniously, especially in the design department. I like how the black frames the watch face. The buttons right here feel premium. These buttons feel like a 10 out of 10. Very premium, very solid. I don't feel like anything on this watch is cheap. The stainless steel feels really good. It can scratch, it can dent, and it'll protect the watch. It perfectly matches this Milanese band. I've never had a mesh band like this Milanese band that clasps so well and feels so robust. The only thing that I would say is not a 10 out of 10, and that's battery life. And I kind of fault Apple on that. I think it's half their fault and half a byproduct of the ecosystem. This watch is very, very intuitive. Like, setup is so easy when you get it near your phone. I mean, it's just a baby can do it. This is such a fluid operating system here. You can see that everything flows very well. It has a heart rate sensor. It has blood oxygen sensor. Like, the sleep tracking is really good. The fitness functions are much more user-friendly. It's basically, you can just stop and pop. You just hit this, and I'll show you one frustration that I had with the Active 2. So look at this. It's just calculating my heart rate and based on movement and just does calories. No, it's not gonna be an exact science, but it's way better, and we'll pause that, than this experience here. So starting here, like, yeah, they're kind of copying the Watch OS, but you can tell it's not as fluid. It's kind of like one big mass moving around instead of individual pieces that have their own separate movement. Still a beautiful watch face, still a nice design, but it's stolen. When you click on this one and you do free training.
Start workout.
Okay.
Workout paused. Workout completed. During this workout,
So when we click on strength training here, we click
Start
go.
Workout.
It starts to go into number of sets, and I guess that's really cool and technical for some people, but the average user is not gonna care about that. They just want their heart rate, maybe temperature, and you know, their blood oxygen kind of monitored to give just an overall idea of exertion on the workout. They're not trying to
Set.
figure.
1. Time. 22.
So, I mean, this
Seconds.
is a little bit
Average
too
heart
technical
rate.
to me. I mean, it's not a bad experience, but this one is just more.
Calories. 0.
Cut that off. So the experience here is just more intuitive, hands down. Again, for $100, like, this is like an unbeatable value. You know, it does iOS and Android. You know, this is a very, very nice watch face here. So I love this watch face. And then also, when I click on this, my other favorite watch face, what's my other favorite watch face here? It's this one. This is a dope watch face. I like this. One last thing I'll speak about, kind of solidifies my experience with this, is text messages. So I'm not gonna go through my text messages, but the graphics that come out are better than this watch. I am happy to report that this watch does show graphics, but if somebody texts me a video or something like that, like either via Facebook, Messenger, or regular Messenger, I cannot view the video. And also, you cannot reply back on this watch. So that is a function of Apple, and that's something that they've limited to their particular products. And it's a very, very smart move because it's a completely different experience. I work in an office setting. When I walk away from my desk and I'm talking to somebody or I'm doing something and I casually glance at my watch, and I can reply to a message real quick without having to go get my phone. Even if it's a video or an image, I can see it right there. And it's just a much more convenient thing for me. I know it sounds like a small thing, but it's not, because if somebody, especially these days, more and more people are sending videos and sending memes or gifs, or just sending, you know, little short graphics that you can look at, and you cannot fully react to those things if you can't see them. So that's something that completely changes the experience with this watch. One other thing I forgot to mention with the hardware is the haptic motor. So both of these are going to have relatively weaker vibrations compared to what you would experience in a phone. But I would say you can definitely tell the Apple Watch's vibration and haptics are a bit stronger. All right, folks, thank you for watching the video. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and recommend that you watch my video on the Amazfit Active 2 watch just to get a better idea of its capabilities. And I wanted to mention something I glossed over in the video, and that is the fact that this watch's battery life is a game changer, and for a lot of people, it's going to trump the Apple Watch. I would 100% take this watch on a weekend, 3-4 day trip over the Apple Watch for the battery life and for the fact that I don't have to take a charger with me. That is going to be a game changer for a lot of people, especially if you're having a busy travel time or just life in general. So definitely keep that in mind when comparing these types of watches against each other. All right, and one other thing in closing that I forgot to mention is the dictation and speaker on the Amazfit 2 watch. So it does talk a little bit more through different functions than the Apple Watch, and the speaker is very nice. I did take a call on it, and the person that I spoke to could hear me well. Same thing on the Apple Watch. I think the Apple Watch was just a little bit clearer. But if I had to recommend one device for everybody, whether it's Android or an Apple person, it would 100% be the Amazfit 2. It is a great starting watch, a great mid-range watch for anybody to have. The sensors work well on the watch. I would say probably nearly as well as the Apple Watch. Just the ecosystem software for the Apple Watch is going to be a little bit better. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the comment section and I'll get to them as soon as I can. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Recognition is like infinitely stronger with this watch versus this watch, which you pay a lot more, so you should get that. So that is the thing, and I think that it's worth something. That's of value to people. Okay, and I guess the last thing that I was going to mention is going to be memory. So both of these watches can do a lot. You can save a couple songs on this watch, but this watch has 32 gigabytes of memory. And I should have mentioned this when I was talking about the software experience, but you can load so much more content and apps on this device than you can on this one. All right, so here's this watch's native band, and you can get a more premium version with the sapphire crystal for $30 extra. So that's not bad. And I have to say, this band is very solid, very comfortable all-day band, a great default band, this or the red one. You know, this back is plastic, whereas on the Apple Watch, let's take it off here. You know, the back is definitely more premium. You can see that it's a glass back. You know, it's kind of hit or miss for some people, but I just thought I'd point that out. The charging experience is not as good. So it comes with a proprietary charger, which Apple has for their watch, no biggie, but it has 2 pins that fit in here. So you have to orientate it a certain way. Like you can't, it either has to be this way and not this way. So you can't just set it down on the charger. You have to make sure that it sets the right way. On this watch, that's a little bit annoying. On the Apple Watch, you just plug it in and set it down. You even have premium Android watches that you just set down on a puck and they charge, and that's just a better experience to me. And the reason I'm comparing this watch is because I feel like this is the best competitor as of late against the Apple Watch. It's the best looking. I know Amazfit has the Balance Watch, which looks really good, but it has the weird dial up here. This one just looks better. It's a better value. But I have to say that the notifications on this watch, and this is a big deal. I know I've talked about software, but in this kind of mesh of apps, there is no notifications app here. So I can click here and go to the phone app or go to the music app and open something, but there's nothing like that here. The only way to get to notifications is to click a little dot that's here. It's present on the screen when you have unread notifications, or to swipe up which is fine, but it just shows the most recent ones that are red. I love being able to open the Apple Watch, go to notifications right here, and they're right there. Like everything is right there. On this one, not being able to do that kind of drives me crazy. Anyway, you can't go wrong with either watch. Best value is going to be this watch. Best experience, best watch is going to be this watch.